Well, let's get started. Let's start in child's pose today. So if you guys, I want to stay here for maybe 5 minutes. So if it's comfortable to you, if your butt doesn't touch your heels all the way, to put something underneath, that feels really nice sometimes. Then you can kind of sink back into it a little bit. So just go ahead and start to look for a place to land in your child's pose. Do any moving you need to do to settle into a comfortable position. Closing the eyes whenever you're ready. Just really taking your time, wiggling and melting into the floor. Starting to breathe in and out through the nose, closing the mouth. Slowing the breath a little bit. Start to check into your surroundings a little bit. Notice if there's any sound that's standing out to you. If the air feels a certain way touching your skin. Start to turn that focus a little bit more inwards. Noticing how your body feels. Noticing how the breath feels as it starts to travel throughout your body, dancing up and down your spine with every breath out and in. Maybe changing the temperature of your nostrils as the air comes in and out. Sending your awareness to wherever the breath is going in your body. Seeing if you can deepen the breath a little bit more by expanding the belly. Maybe widening the knees if that feels a little easier to get that breath expanded down in your belly. Starting in child's pose for anyone joining us. Just continuing to melt into the floor, feeling the grounding sensation of being connected to something. And continue to pay attention to where your breath is going, where it's traveling. Shifting your focus a little bit more inward with every breath in. And with every breath out, seeing where your breath is leaving your body. Notice anything, any feeling, any thought come up of anything that should be leaving. Starting to turn that focus even more inward to your inner workings, your inner world. Walk one hand, your right hand to the right, eyes still closed. Maybe it's touching the outer edge of your mat. Place your left hand over your right, trying to keep your hips reaching equally down toward the ground, square. Relaxing the neck, relaxing the face, feeling a nice side stretch. Noticing anything that's coming up in your heart center. Starting to focus on what's arising. And instead of dismissing it and pushing any thought out of your head, cultivate an awareness of what it is that's kind of placed in your body. Slowly walking your hands to the left, stretching the right hand over the left hand. Breathing in, focus in on what it is that's coming up for you, and breathing out, release it. Breathing in, continue to focus on what it is. Your heart space is telling you you need to release. And breathing out, mouth open, start to release it a bit. Walking the hands front and center, still in child's pose. Put pressure into your hands, pulling the heels of your palms toward your body, pressing them into the floor so your hands aren't actually moving, but you're feeling tension in your underarms. Feel stretch deep in your armpits and the backs of your arms. Breathing in, arch your back slightly, almost as if you're doing a cow pose in this child's pose. And with the breath out, pull your stomach in, arching your back up in cat pose. Stretching the back, starting to extend and flex the spine very subtly in this very active child's pose. Working on cloaking yourself in warmth and light coming from your heart center, helping to push out anything that you need to release. Slowly stop moving with your breath. Shift forward onto your forearms and start to extend your arms forward into puppy pose, stretching out your chest. Feel a nice stretch. I just realized Pansy's on the computer. All right. Breathing in. Come onto your hands and knees. Right arm up. Extend it up to the right and thread the needle. Pulling it under and behind your left arm, moving your left hand forward a little bit so that you can press your hips square. Breathing in, breathing out, continuing to cloak yourself in warmth and light, feeling that light expanding and pressing out. Anything you need to release, just keep focusing on that, what it is you need to release, you want to release in this class. Return to the breath, whenever your mind wanders, focusing on where it's going in your body. Start to come up out of thread the needle, but instead of bringing your right arm up, leave it where it is, pressing up into your left arm, shifting yourself to the left into hands and knees, facing the left wall. Extend your right leg out to the side. If you can, root your entire foot down onto the floor, outside of your right foot down. If you can't, that's fine if that's not comfortable, but really feel a tension in your inner thigh. So your right hip rooting back, wearing back. Your glutes are evenly pointing to the back wall. Start to pulse back, sinking your hips down toward your heel. You can prop your toes under if that helps give you a little extra support. Feel an active stretch in your inner thigh. With your breath, once again, doing the cat-cow motion, breathing in, extending your spine, breathing out, flexing up into cat. Moving with your breath. You're doing a lot of things right now. You're trying to find freedom in your upper body, moving with your breath, but also actively engaging and flossing the fascia in your inner thigh and your hamstring on your right leg. Take a deep breath in, square your hips, move your right leg behind you. You're in a tabletop position with your right leg bent behind you. Reach behind with your left arm if you can to grab your ankle or your foot, or if it feels better, just reach that arm forward in opposition with your right leg. If you can reach, kick back into that left hand, really feeling your chest and your heart opening, using your legs to do all that work. squaring the hips as much as you can. Breathing out, releasing down. Couple breaths, just regular cat-cow. Breathing in, cat-cow rather. Breathing out, arching your back into cat, sucking the spine up toward the ceiling. Finding a little bit of mobility, some suppleness. Extend that right leg back out to the side and then rotate toward the front of your mat once again. Folding forward into a half split. This would be a great time if you have blocks or something nearby that you can put your hands on, a table, a chair. You can even use a blanket rolled up. Great time to do it so that you can really focus on pulling that right hip back, wrapping it around the bone. Squaring that left hip forward. Finding a very deep stretch in your upper hamstring. Breathing in, extending the spine long, and breathing out, releasing over your leg. Finding a deeper stretch, resting the hands wherever it feels good. Finding a moment of stillness. Breathing out, releasing. Shift your weight forward onto the right foot, walking the foot out to the outside of the mat, coming into lizard lunge. Once again, focusing on wrapping that right hip back a little bit so that your hips are somewhat square. And then opening that right knee, pressing it open if that feels good, maybe falling onto the outside of your foot and really opening that hip. Feeling that glute really stretching out in the back as it wraps around and connects to your lower spine. It really helps your lower back. Take one more deep breath. And breathing out, release. Walking your foot in and then bringing your foot back into tabletop. Left arm reaches up to the left, to the ceiling, threading the needle through and behind the right arm. Squaring the hips. Breathing in, breathing out through the mouth. Placing that right hand wherever it feels good. Taking a moment here to focus back in on your intention for the class. Finding slowness in your breath, slowing down your heart a little bit. And like we did on the other side, go ahead and start to come up, pressing into your right hand. Leave your left where it is, rotate to face the right wall. Hands and knees. Left leg out this time. We're going to floss that left inner thigh and hamstring by putting pressure into the leg, pushing it against the floor and back. Pulsing back. Feeling a deep stretch in opposition to the tension of actively engaging the leg. And incorporating some cat-cow breath as it feels good in your body. Looking good. If it feels good, you can move your hands forward or back to help support you. And on your next breath out, come back into a neutral spine. Lift your left leg back and around, bending the left leg at a 90-degree angle, hands and knees. And if this feels good, stay here. Send your right hand out if that feels good, or go ahead and reach back, grabbing that left ankle or foot, trying to square your shoulders and hips and pressing that back leg into the hand, feeling a deep stretch across your chest and your arms. One more deep breath in, looking beautiful, and release. A couple cat-cows, really moving the hips freely this time, maybe doing figure eights. Finding any place in your body that wants a little extra love right now. And then coming back to neutral, extending the left leg back out, shifting forward, bending over the left leg, half split. Once again, using blocks or blanket if that helps to keep you nice and elongated in your spine. It's also a nice way to not put too much pressure in the muscle and then tear it or do something as you accidentally fall deeper. It's nice to be in control over your landing. And that's kind of a metaphor for life, right? If you prepare for the hard times, you can be a little bit more in control of how you land. A quote by me just now. One more deep breath in and out. Release through the mouth maybe if that feels good. Sinking forward into the left leg, walking the left foot out, pointing the toes out a little bit and sinking that knee open if it feels good. Coming into lizard. Feeling a nice deep stretch of your piriformis muscle and your outer glutes. Take a couple more deep breaths. And on the next breath out, release, coming back into your hands and knees. Coming into child's pose, bring your knees a little closer together than they might have been at the start of class. We're only going to be here for just a moment. Take a deep breath in and release out. And on the next breath in, rise up into cat, coming up in a wave. And breathing out, come into cow. Stay in cow, one more breath in. And then release back, sitting onto your heels. Come up into camel, rise up onto your knees. We're gonna prep for camel. Breathe in, arms up overhead. Breathing out, arms down to your sides. Breathing in, scoop everything up into your arms, bringing them up and overhead. Breathing out, push everything away. Arms down to your sides. One more time, breathing up, arms overhead. Feeling your body elongating. Breathing out, arms come down this time, placing them on your lower back, either fingers pointing down or up, pushing the hips forward, just breathing in deeply and expanding the heart up toward the ceiling. Maybe you arch back a little bit in the process, but just focus on opening that heart. What is your heart center telling you right now? What is it trying to release? On your next breath out, come back up. One breath in, up. Arms up overhead. Breathing out, drop the right arm down to the side. Look behind you and just stretch your left side. Right arm pointing down toward your legs. Breathing in, right arm comes up. Breathing out, left arm drops back. Looking behind you, looking over your shoulder towards your back heel. Stretching that right side body. Breathing up. Release into child's pose. Arms in front of you. Take one breath here. And a breath out. Breathing in, roll into cat. Breathing out, come into cow. Take one more deep breath in here. Then sit back on your heels. Just gonna loosen up our necks a little bit. Take a moment to close your eyes. Sitting on your heels. If it's more comfortable, you can put a blanket underneath your booty. Breathing in, start to dip your chin forward. Rock your head to the side and start to roll your head, stretching your neck, rolling it in a circle very slowly. And if it feels good, start to really open your chest with the breath in, arching your back and caving your stomach in, breathing out. Pulling everything forward. Feeling a nice body stretch, a little bit of a hip and shoulder stretch, in addition to stretching your neck. And now switch sides. Really feeling all the energy that you're stirring up inside of you, culminating at your heart center. And coming into neutral, breathe in, scooping all the energy around and inside of you up and overhead. And breathe out, press your hands down, really feeling yourself pressing it all away. One more time, breathing in, arms up and overhead. And breathing out, push it all down and away. Eyes still closed, breathe up your arms one more time. This time twisting to the right as you press everything away. One arm is coming down behind you, one in front of you. Breathing up, arms overhead, this time twisting to the left as you press it all away. One more time with each breath to the right and left. Moving however feels right to you to express this. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. Breathing out, right arm drops to the ground. Maybe your hips shift to the left. Feeling your fingers walking toward the right, arching to the right, stretching your left arm overhead. Feeling a deep stretch in your left side. With every breath in, opening up your heart, trying to peek your heart through that upper arm a little bit so that you're not caved forward. Breathing in, lift up. And on your next breath in, start to shift to the right with your hips. Leaning to the left with your upper body, walking that left arm out to support yourself and reaching your right arm up and overhead. Stretching to the left. Opening your heart. Relaxing your shoulder, relaxing your face. And on your next breath in, bringing everything up, opening the eyes, rotating back into hands and knees, and sitting back on your heels. Take the right leg, step forward into a low lunge. Find squareness in your hips, pulling your right hip back. Come up. Rise your arms up into the air, keeping your ribs knitted in, making sure that everything is elongated, that you're not splaying everything open, that you have a sense of fullness in your heart, and it feels open, but you're not compromising your spine's integrity. Bringing your elbows bent to your sides like a cactus. Maybe arch your back a tiny bit, just your upper back, lifting up and back. With your next breath in, press into a high lunge. Once again, finding squareness in the hips, maybe adjusting your feet and your stance a little bit, looking down, making sure that there's enough width between your feet that you're not wobbling back and forth. Relaxing the shoulders, reaching the crown and the tips of the fingers toward the sky. Everything lengthening. Breathing in, prepare on your next breath out to shift weight into your right foot so that you can step forward into chair with your arms back. Chair plane on your next breath out. Feet are together, knees are together, arms extend back, making sure not to splay the back, but to keep the ribs knitted in, heart open, sinking the hips a little bit further back. Then sinking even further back, reach the arms in front of you, left over right, crossing the arms twice, bringing them into eagle. So right arm is under left, and then right wrist is behind left wrist. Sink the hips a little bit further back, finding length in your crown so that you almost get taller, even though your hips are sinking even deeper. And breathing out, release. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. Right leg extends forward, one-legged Tadasana. On your next breath out, shift the weight forward, tilting the torso forward, extending the right leg back, coming into plane. Making sure that your hips are square toward the floor, that you're actively engaging your hamstring muscles in your left leg and in your right. Right foot flexed and actively engaged, abdominal muscles strong. Fingertips actively pointing back toward the back wall, crown of the head, shooting forward. And on your next breath out, release the right foot down, stepping wide into a wide squat. Taking a couple breaths here, hands either in prayer position. You can have your hands down in front of you if that's easier, or at a block. Just taking a couple of breaths here, maybe closing the eyes if that feels good. Feeling the energy that you just built up from those standing postures and releasing it. And releasing the hands down toward the floor, extending upward in a wide leg forward fold. Bringing the blocks in front of you if that feels good, making sure that everything feels comfortable in your spine. Maybe rocking the weight forward into your toes a little bit. Notice how the stretch feels in your body. Start to notice how certain postures feel, not just in that body part, but notice how does it make you breathe? How does your breath release when you do a certain pose? How do certain postures like this make your breath slow and calm you? Maybe there are certain things you could incorporate in your day. Cultivate an awareness of what you're feeling and how you know you feel it, what evidence in your body you feel. And slowly walk your feet heel-toe together. Press your hands into the floor or into your legs, lift halfway up. Breathe out, fold all the way forward. And breathing in, stand all the way up, arms up and overhead as you breathe in. And breathing out, hands to prayer position, eyes closed. Taking a moment to let everything crystallize. Noticing how you feel. Noticing if one side feels a little bit uneven, or if anything's coming up in your heart center. Don't ignore it. Cloak it in warmth and light. Breathing in. Bring your arms up and overhead. Eyes still closed. Pulling everything together and breathing out. Press it all away. Press all the light, all the energy out into the world. Breathing in, pull everything inside of you together once again. Anything you need to release, breathing out, press it away. Arms pressing down. Breathing in, arms up and overhead once more. Eyes still closed. Arms down to the right, twist to the right. Oh no. Is it frozen? Sorry, Pansy broke my computer. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Keep going. Breathing out, arms to the left, twist left. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. Breathing out, twisting to the right, arms down. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. And breathing out, one dive forward, eyes can be open now. Pressing into the ground with your hands, lift halfway up. And pressing, okay, sorry, thanks Krista. Press into plank. Sorry everyone, my computer is not showing me some of the screen, so I thought it was frozen. I'm gonna make you hold this plank while I explain all my tech difficulties to you. Shift forward. Press down into chaturanga, knees down or lifted. Press into cobra, hands under your shoulders. Small cobra, not really overdoing it. Breathing in and breathing out, release down to the ground. Breathing in once more, cobra, a little bit deeper this time, maybe feeling a stretch in your abdominal muscles. Breathe out, release. And press back up through your hands and knees, sitting back onto your heels, bringing the left foot forward now into low lunge. Arms up and overhead. Pull your elbows into cactus. Breathing in, maybe arching back a little bit. Sending the arms back up and overhead, pressing into high lunge. Feet firmly planted into the ground, left hip shooting back to the back wall. Feeling your abdominal muscles engaged, ribs zippered in, shoulders relaxed. Energy shooting from your heart to the sky. Breathing out, step forward into chair plane, arms back. Try to make sure that your arms are not rotated in all the way, but that your palms are facing the floor. Hips sink back a little further. Breathing in, arms forward. Sinking back even further. Left arm under right, left wrist behind right wrist. Eagle arms. Finding length. And release. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. Left leg extends forward. Hips square. Breathing out. Find this to be a rest pose as you let yourself dip forward. Find squareness in the shoulders and the hips. Inner thighs actively engaged, rotating inwards. Imagine that a string is getting pulled from the crown of your head forward and from the heel of your foot backwards. And on your next breath out, step into a wide squat. This time, bring your arms up and overhead, if that feels good. Take a couple of breaths here. Crystallizing your practice. Letting your heart breathe open. And on your next breath, hands down. Wide leg forward fold again, this time pointing your toes inwards. Maybe rocking towards your right foot and then your left. Feeling where the stretch shows up in your legs. I always feel this in my outer shins. Just enjoying the stretch for a moment. And slowly walk your feet together. Press into the floor with your hands, breathing in, halfway lift. And breathing out, release. Take a deep breath in, slowly rise up all the way. Arms up and overhead. Hands to prayer position. Closing the eyes once more. Taking 5 purposeful breaths here. Feeling your feet rooting deeper into the floor. And the energy shooting up through your body, making you grow longer with every breath. Feeling that spine lengthen, space building between the vertebrae. Just a couple more breaths. And you're breathing in. Arms up and overhead, eyes open, swan dive forward. Stepping back into downward facing dog this time. I think this is the first and only down dog of the practice, so make it count. Hands firmly rooting into the ground, feet firmly rooting. You feel any sort of pressure in your back, put a bend into your knees, widen your stance if that feels good. Take a few deep breaths here. Bringing yourself back to reality, back to the floor, back to the current. Couple more deep breaths. And on your next breath out, come through hands and knees to be seated on your heels. Rise up, arms up and overhead. And breathing out, bring your arms behind your back. This time we're coming into camel for real. Your fingers can either be pointed up with your elbows pressing toward each other or down, whatever feels good. You can prop your toes under your feet if that feels good. And start to focus on pressing those hips forward, lifting the heart up toward the sky, and slowly arching back. If it feels all right in your neck, you can let it release. If you have cervical spine issues, just stay kind of upright. Don't do this too deeply. But if it's safe and it feels good, go ahead and release your head back, maybe grabbing your heels if that's available to you, pressing the hips forward. Feeling everything exploding out of your heart. Everything else you need to release on its way out. And slowly, carefully placing the hands back on the lower back, come back up. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. Breathing out, child's pose. Take one breath here. And breathing in, sitting back up, arms up and overhead. This time, breathing out, taking the right arm, looking back again like we did in the beginning of class, maybe grabbing that right heel, and focusing on breathing in and opening the chest. Maybe you open the chest all the way, coming through camel to the other side. Only if that's okay on your lower spine and you're feeling like the class has warmed you up enough. You can move back and forth, or if you're staying on the right side, go ahead and come back up. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. Breathing out, bend to the left. Just feeling what feels good in your body here to keep opening the heart, either energetically or literally. Making sure to engage the inner thighs, making sure you have a solid base here. And when you're even or ready, slowly coming up, straight, looking straight ahead, arms on your lower back, and lower down. Come into plank pose now. Just going to have you do a little bit of core strengthening. Actually, hands and knees to start. It's, I think, really important to, in addition to flexibility, make sure your strength is built up so that you have a strong foundation and your flexibility is supporting something. Otherwise, you actually probably won't be as flexible and you won't feel as loose and you'll be more sore all the time. So strength is really important. All right, right leg behind you. Pull the knee toward your right elbow outside of your torso and extend back out, spider crunch. Let's do 8 on each side. Four, 3, 2, 1. Let's do the left. Send that left leg back. I'm bending the left knee toward your left elbow. Pull. 2, 3, 4. 7 and 8. Now come up into plank and toe taps. Right toe taps, left toe taps, and switch, and switch. Four more. Release onto your elbows. Plank on your elbows. You can stay up if that feels better. Actually, no, I think you need to be on your forearms for this. If you want, you can be on your knees or extend into a forearm plank. Dip the right hip toward the right. Come back up. Left hip toward the left. Come back up. Left, right, left, right. Let's do 4 more. All right. You're crossing your legs in front of you or swinging your legs around. Bring your legs in front of you into a seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Breathing in, arms up and overhead. Breathing out, releasing forward, trying to keep your spine as elongated as possible, grabbing onto your legs or your toes if that feels good. And once you've found length in your spine, breathe out, releasing as far down as you wish to go. Taking several deep breaths here. Maybe bringing a blanket between your forehead and your legs if that feels good. Taking a moment to slow down, slow the breath. reconnect, reground. Take a couple more deep breaths. I finally reclaimed my screen from the cat demon, so I can see your beautiful faces again. On your next breath out, release anything left that there is to release in your hamstrings, your lower back. Breathing in, walk yourself up. Take a brief moment to take your left leg, cross it over your right, either below or above your knee, wherever feels good, and making sure both hips are on the ground. Wrap your right arm around your left leg and twist gently to the left, feeling a nice deep stretch in your outer hip and your outer glute area. Every breath in, elongating. And on your next breath out, releasing. Doing the same on your right side. Wrapping the left arm around your right leg, twisting slightly. Breathing in, filling up with all the energy you've cultivated, connecting with your heart center, and breathing out to release and twist anything out that's still there. Coming back to center. And rolling slowly onto your back. We're going to pause for a brief moment in Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined bound angle. So you might want to put something under your back if that feels good. Maybe you want to put something under your knees, but basically the soles of the feet together, knees open like a book, reclined, arms extended out if that feels good, or maybe placing them over your heart. Taking a second to let the practice marinate. Noticing if you feel any different than you did at the beginning of class. Starting to return that focus back inwards once again. Bringing your attention to your heart center. What's arising? What thoughts there are still coming up that you don't need to dismiss, but maybe listen to. Blanket with light and love and let float away. If they're not already, let your hands lay on either side of you, palms open to the sky. Releasing and receiving. Deep belly breaths in and out. Breathing into the belly and into the heart. And releasing anything else there is to release. Slowly taking your hands and pulling your knees back together, closing the book. And then grabbing your knees or under your knees, grabbing your thighs, pulling everything inwards, rocking back and forth, maybe massaging your lower back a bit. Squeeze everything in a little bit tighter, tightening every muscle, even your face muscles, legs squeezing together, toes squeezing together. And on the breath out, release all the way into Shavasana, slowly relaxing, fully reclining, letting everything hang open. Maybe using the opportunity to make yourself a little more comfortable, placing something under your knees, let your lower back relax. And taking the next couple minutes to just stew basically in the light that you've created, the energy, feeling the lightness of having released some things. Just breathe naturally. Let everything go. Let your face relax, your chest, your back, your legs, your toes, your fingers. And breathe. Start to deepen your breath. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms up and overhead, breathing in deeply. And on the breath out, roll over onto your right side. Take one more deep cleansing breath here. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more deep breath in, and on your next breath out, start to press yourself upwards. Eyes closed. Bring your palms together at your heart. I want to really quickly read you a quote that I read that kind of relates to the idea of wrapping light and love around things that you need to release and then letting them go with that light. I was reading, it was a Rumi passage about a priest who prays for thieves and muggers. And he says, every time I turn back toward the things they want, I run into them. They beat me and leave me in the road, and I understand again that what they want is not what I want. Those that make you return, for whatever reason, to the spirit, be grateful to them. Worry about the others who give you delicious comforts that keeps you from prayer. So basically, embrace the things that you need to release, thank them, and then let them go with light. These are the things that help us grow, and sometimes that can help us heal. So I hope that you found this class restorative. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Thank you all so much.